America's current financial meltdown has been a direct result of the greed and risky behavior of those on Wall Street. To add insult to injury, Wall Street is now fighting the financial regulatory reform that President Obama is trying to enact to ensure that this doesn't happen again. All over America, citizens are rising up in protest of Wall Street's opposition to reform. In Duluth, Minnesota, workers watched on as Wall Street tycoons cashed in and left Main Street holding the bag. Then they decided to take justice in their own hands. This is their story.
Mr. Montag, how are you going to plead today?
The only thing I'm guilty of is making money, and I don't believe that's a crime.
Mr. Montag, how much money did you make last year?
30 million, give or take.
Don't you think that's a little excessive, considering millions of Americans are out of work?
No comment, no comment.
Court is now in session. The Honorable Robert F. Wagner presiding. Judge Wagner, the case of Thomas K. Montag is on the docket. Mr. Montag is being tried for crimes against working families. Is Mr. Montag present today?
Here, Your Honor. Oh, Judge, how's it going? We still on for golf this afternoon?
Oh, that's another matter, please.
Mr. Montag, I'm here to prosecute you for crimes against working families.
What crimes? The only thing everybody should be giving me a medal.
You are being charged with 3 counts. Let me read them. Count 1, that you willfully disregarded the public good in wanton pursuit of personal wealth. Count 2, that you enriched yourself at public expense. And count 3, that the sum total of your acts amount to grave moral turpitude. These counts amount to crimes against all working families. How do you plead?
You gotta be kidding me. I plead entirely and utterly innocent.
Fine.
You got nothing on me.
Let the record show that the defendant pleads not guilty. Mrs. Prosecutor, are you ready for your first witness?
Yes, I am, Your Honor. We call Thomas K. Montag to the stand.
I hope you don't mind, Your Honor, but I brought my own Bible.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Absolutely. I always do.
Mr. Montag, you are the CEO of Bank of America, are you not?
I most certainly am.
And you've been the CEO through 2007 and 2008, the years leading up to our most recent financial meltdown?
Yep, those were great years.
And isn't it true that you directed your institution into highly risky investments, and that by the summer of 2008, isn't it true that Bank of America itself was about to go belly up because of the actions of fat cats like you?
Most certainly not. Bank of America was never at risk.
Is that the truth?
That's a lie.
So, if your bank was in such great shape, Mr. Montag, why was it that you took $45 billion in TARP money? I may remind you that you're under oath.
Okay, yeah. But on Wall Street, we don't use terms like about to go belly up. We use more technical terms like we were leveraged up the wazoo or we was sucking swamp water.
And Mr. Montag, if you and the other Wall Street banks hadn't gotten that bailout money, what do you believe would have happened?
Well, yeah, we did some projections on that. We think the world would have gone into a depression, 80% unemployment. People would have been forced to eat their pets to stay alive. Your average Armageddon scenario.
And isn't it true, Mr. Montag, that last year, while millions of Americans were struggling, that you yourself were compensated $30 million?
Hey, talent don't come cheap.
All right, let's shift the line of questioning here for a minute, Mr. Montag. How much did the Bank of America, under your direction, spend on lobbying in Washington last year?
I don't know, 4 million, give or take a mil.
And isn't it true that your lobbyists spent their time in Washington lobbying against financial regulation reform?
You know, we're looking for reasonable regulatory environment that will not stifle the creativity of a financial market.
Creativity? Aren't you talking about greed? Isn't that really what's happening here?
Yeah, absolutely not. We're just trying to be like everybody else.
Get by? Be like everybody else? On $30 million a year? That must be really rough, Mr. Montag. I rest my case.
Mr. Montag, would you like to say anything in your defense?
I sure would, Your Honor. You people out there don't know how hard it is to be a CEO of a bank.
You can say that again.
You don't know how hard we work. We stay up all night, lay awake at night just trying to think of new ways to create jobs and new ways to pay our taxes and new ways to make life a little bit better for little people. Like you. It's lonely at the top.
Mr. Montag, if you have nothing more to say in your defense, we will now turn this over to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you must now render your verdict.
Your Honor, I object to this whole proceeding. Why, the Constitution guarantees me a trial of jury by my peers.
Yes,
This rabble obviously aren't my peers.
yes, I see your point. Objection overruled. The jury has found you guilty in all 3 counts. It is now the duty of the court to pass sentence.
Say, Judge, did I mention how damn sorry I am about this whole thing? Just damn sorry.
The court will take your remorse into consideration.
Give our money back.
The court has a great deal of flexibility in cases like this. Sentences can range from very mild to very harsh. For example, in other times and places, banks have been taken over by the government, or excessive compensation has been taken away. And in some cases, bankers have lost their jobs, and in some cases, also, they have gone to jail.
Send him to jail, Judge.
But, in light of your remorse,
He's faking. He's as greedy as they come.
and the fact that the court is in a lenient mood today,
Lenient, send him to jail.
order in the court, and the fact that I have a tough campaign coming up. Therefore, the court sentences you to a slap on the wrist and restitution in the form of pay. How does 20 million a year sound?
It'll be tough, but I suppose I can live with that.
You call that justice?
Court dismissed.
Thanks, Judge. And would you please accept this campaign contribution on behalf of my company?
Citizens arrest!